My name is Bond.
James Bond.
Shaken, not stunned.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I'm now aiming precisely at your groin.
That's not funny, 007.
For England, James? No.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the BondVerse. I'm your host Nathan, one of your co-hosts of course. I am joined by the man, the myth, the spy. Nobody does it better than him truly. It's Kyle.
It's me, I'm Agent Triple X. What a twist.
This really is a twist. This movie twisted all of our expectations right out the gate with that one. Well,
sure
Kyle,
did. Oh my
what are we
goodness.
looking at today? The 1977 third outing of Roger
Indeed.
Moore.
Third outing already. It's The Spy Who Loved Me.
Crazy. The year Star Wars came out, same summer as Star Wars actually, though I believe that was an October movie, August movie.
That is a crazy statistic that we're entering the Star Wars era.
Yeah.
Star Trek is currently dead, I believe. Or are we doing the Star Trek movies now?
Star Trek, the motion picture is 1979. This is like when Star Trek like Phase 2 is trying to get picked up off the ground, you know?
Star Trek is being picked up in syndication at the moment.
Yeah, this is where it's getting big in the UK.
Yeah.
This is where the Brits are loving Trek.
Yeah, okay. Right off the bat, I think this movie title has been forever ruined for me by Austin Powers.
Yeah.
Because every time I read it, I'm thinking The Spy Who Shagged Me.
Yeah, I can see that absolutely. I actually think this is one of the most forgettable Bond titles ever.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
See, when I think of like the pantheon of Bond films and like all their movie titles, see if like it was like a question on the quiz show Pointless, where you only like you're aiming to get the lowest score possible by getting the answer that the least amount of people answered. I think it would be this film.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone thinks Bond and thinks just by title, The Spy Who Loved Me. I think really Austin Powers did capture this title.
Yeah. The it's strange though, because the movie itself has got some iconic stuff in it for sure.
Well, I actually think this movie's quite good, actually. I think that...
I agree, yes.
You weren't the biggest on Live and Let Die.
No.
But we both quite enjoyed The Man with the Golden Gun, and then we're jumping into like another fairly solid Roger Moore flick.
Yes. Roger Moore's off to a good start.
He's off to a good start, yeah. I don't like his hair in this film. I think this is Roger Moore's worst hair so far. Can I say that?
Interesting. I can't say enough to I will say my thoughts on this movie. I think this movie has a really strong first half, and then it kind of starts to peter off towards the second half of the movie and like becomes less interesting.
Okay. I do think that it becomes a bit of an action set piece going into the third act. Like,
I think it kind of forgets about all the character stuff it was doing and just becomes explosions and gunfights.
Yeah. But, you know, that's the payoff. Everyone's patiently sat in their seats for an hour and a half, just sort of wanting to go out for a smoke, you know? Or back then, you'd probably smoke in the cinema.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I don't think the action is necessarily better than the action in the first half, though. It's just bigger.
Certainly is bigger. I quite enjoy it. I like him swinging around on the separatist droid camera ball.
Well, okay, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
We open on a submarine.
British submarine. The HMS
submarine.
Ranger, I believe.
Something like that. Some good old British chaps playing chess, drinking tea.
Absolutely, yeah. And then there's a rumble going on, and one of them just asks the poor crewman named Eddie what's going on. And my question is, why would Eddie know what's going on? Who's Eddie? Is he like the submarine specialist? You're all in a submarine. Is he not? You not also a specialist?
Well, they all know that Eddie is psychic.
Oh, apparently, yeah. Eddie's actually
it's an open secret.
Yeah. That he's actually part of the Hellfire Club. You know how Kevin Bacon has his own little submarine? I'm
just now thinking about, do they ever actually establish what is being done to these submarines? I know they're being captured, but what's like all the rumbling about?
So the special like tracking equipment they've got seems to have like an ability to like EMP them, I think. They lose all power.
Right, okay. Gotcha.
And then they have like the manual override that like forces them to surface, which is probably a good thing to have in a submarine so you don't just sink and suffocate.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And then when you get up there, that's you now sort of disabled adrift at the top of the water.
Yes. But this is no normal submarine. This is in fact a nuclear submarine.
Yep, a British nuclear submarine. And they see something and they're not going to reveal it to the audience, but my God, Kyle.
No, yeah, we see you guys looking through the periscope. Oh my god. Smash cut.
Smash cut. We're now... Were we with the Soviets?
We go to the Russians.
Yeah.
To Golchev or Golet, whatever the Russian M is called.
Yes. I never actually took a note of his name. Maybe I should have. But he's sitting around with these little... He's got lots of different telephones on a very cheap desk, might I say.
He has a framed picture of Vladimir Lenin on his wall.
He does, as he should.
Soviet.
As he should, yes. With a big red drape coming down behind it.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like this was the cheapest set in the film.
Yeah. I mean, this is a very Cold War movie.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But it's a Star Trek Cold War movie, Kel, because it's a new era for Soviet-Anglo relations.
Indeed. But before we get to that, yes, we learn through this that the Russians have also lost a submarine.
The Russians have indeed lost a submarine as well. That's a British and Russian submarine, for those keeping count, now missing.
So they need to call in their best agent, which is Agent Triple X.
Agent Triple X, what a hard name. That's like the Russian 007, you know? Triple X.
Okay, I do have... In the 70s, was XXX known as like a porn thing? Or is that more recent?
No, I think it is. I think in Taxi Driver you see Robert De Niro go to like a porn theatre and it's like written on the wall outside.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering. So yes, it is an innuendo thing then. Good to know.
Yeah. There's a woman lying in bed with a big man, and he's got to go to Austria. He's on a mission, and he's suave, and he's like the Russian Bond lookalike.
Russian Bond, yeah.
Yeah. And then the music, and she's like, "Don't leave, another 5 minutes before you need to leave, surely, because I love you." And she's just like a silly woman, of course, she's just wanting to be in bed with the man. And then a little Soviet music box starts to play, Kyle, and it's an answering machine. It's a voice note from the Soviet comrade general saying, "Triple X, we need you." And that man gets out of bed, and the woman answers.
I know, what a twist! What a twisty twist. A lady can be a spy?
Anya Amasova.
Uh-huh.
This, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is the wife of Ringo Starr.
Indeed, not Russian.
An
Very much not Russian.
An American actress, if that wasn't immediately
But Nathan,
clear
you
to
would never tell watching this movie that she wasn't Russian.
No,
her accent is flawless.
Yeah, she's a real Ivana Hump a lot. Yeah, got that real thick Russian accent.
Uh-huh.
But Bond is in Austria, because we cut to Bond, don't we?
Yes.
And
he is also in bed with a lady, because, spies, they're all the same,
well,
right?
We actually cut to M, really, and M wants Bond to pull out of Austria, which is just wonderful visual commentary there of him lying on a wolfskin rug out in front of a fireplace with a woman.
Well, I wanted to say that M says on the phone when he hears about the submarine, he's like, "I'll get my best man on it at once." And I'm like, "And you're calling Bond, M? Come on. Is 007 really your best agent? I don't believe you. Call in Sean Bean.
Call in 006.
Where's 006?
All the other 00s are dying, apparently. Remember 002 died? Bill Fairbanks.
What was it? Bill Fairbanks? Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, R.I.P. But listen, Bond is the one that he actually just wants to die the most.
That's true, yeah. He's sending his most expendable agent.
He's sending the most hated agent on it, yeah.
That's the reason Bond gets all the most dangerous assignments.
Well, Bond's lying on the floor with this woman, Kyle, and he gets a fax coming out of his watch, Kyle. This is top end tech here.
Oh, yeah. This is well before we had text messages. This was text messages back in the 70s.
Absolutely. Like, this is how you do it, frankly. That when people say they want a Bond movie that has like a throwback to the earlier days of Bond, like they want a period piece Bond movie, this is what they're talking about. You know,
fax machine watches.
Yeah, because this is just like he'd be just like sitting looking at his phone now. He'd be really rude and the woman would hate him. But no, back in the day, this was cool.
Or he'd get a text on his watch and it's like, "Oh, he has an Apple Watch."
Yeah. He has an Apple Watch. Yeah. You're like, "Oh, it's so cool, Bond." Yeah. He got to go skiing though. He gets dressed up to go skiing really quickly.
Oh yeah, and he's wearing some garish colours. He's wearing like bright yellow and red.
Yeah, he looks like a hot dog.
He just has to set himself apart from George Lazenby in the blue,
Yeah,
so
and successfully,
gotta
because whenever I see a Bond character skiing, I'm now just riddled with fear.
It's quick. It's quick and zippy in this movie. Get out of the way.
And Roger Moore's one heck of a skier, should we note, in this sequence. It's some really aggressive background projecting.
Oh yeah, it's Phil Batman climbing up a wall. It's great.
Yeah, But then Bond's being chased by men in black that are also skiing, trying to shoot him. But Bond's prepared because he's got a gun and his ski pole.
Yes.
And it's a heck of a gadget because that leaves a hell of a mark in this dead man. who is
Another very specific Q gadget.
another very specific Q gadget. Yeah, well, I suppose if he knew he was going skiing in the Austrian Alps, you would make him that kind of gadget.
I guess also Bond probably came back from last time and said, okay, last time I got chased by a bunch of guys with machine guns on skis. And Q was like, I've got just the thing for that, 007.
Yeah, I've been working on this since the 50s. Yeah. But Bond kills a man not long before veering off a cliff himself. But this man that he kills will come back to later on, won't we?
Indeed. But I did want to say, we see it, and I have to assume they did this done for real.
Yeah, it really
based on the way
looks
it's
like they've
shot.
done it for real.
Where it's obviously not Roger Moore, but the stuntman skis off a cliff and then takes off the skis in midair and opens a parachute.
Yep, and it takes a while. Like, you really just watch him fall for a bit. 'Cause you don't want to open your parachute when the skis are too nearby in case they get tangled.
Yeah, no, it's hella dangerous, a stunt they did for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? It's so good. It's amazing.
It's very good, yeah. Iconic, he pulls out the Great British Flag
Union Jack parachute. Yeah, it's very cool. We Bond theme blasting, and then we fly right into Carly Simon's classic "Nobody Does It Better."
I'm not a fan, Nathan.
You don't like "Nobody Does It Better"?
I think it's a real step down from Man with a Golden Gun. It's a bit low energy, and honestly, right now, I can't think in my head how it goes.
I'm not going to sing it for you, but I know exactly how it goes. I quite like "Nobody Does It Better." It's not as jazzy and as kind of action orientated, but it's a good departure, I think. You don't want to fall into every Bond song sounding the same.
I suppose.
And I just do quite enjoy it. It does sound kind of prestige, maybe. It's I think and Man with the Golden Gun's a great song, but it feels like a good crowd pleaser song. This feels like a Bond song that's a bit more kind of highfalutin, you know?
Right, sure.
I'm just enjoying
this movie's very classy, yeah.
This is a classy Bond movie, Kel, yeah.
I mean, the Bond villain does listen to classical music.
This is a feminist film, actually.
Sure is.
This is, Kel. We have an agent with agency who's a woman.
I mean, okay, it wants to be, and then it progressively, as the movie goes on, forgets about that.
Yeah, no, you're right. But coming out of the gate, Kel, we're coming out strong.
Yeah.
The Comrade General who speaks to Agent Triple X about the mission that she has ahead, because she's also being sent to look for these missing subs.
Yes.
He's very understanding of this intimate relationship Triple X had with a sergeant that was just killed in Austria by some British Secret Service agent.
Yeah, he seems like a good boss.
Yeah, which is really against stereotype for like a British film about Russians in the Cold War.
It's true, yeah. This movie has a fairly sympathetic view on Russians.
Yeah, this is a commie film.
To be fair, so did, was it You Only Live Twice, when the American astronauts and the Russian astronauts are just chatting?
Oh, yeah, the cosmonauts.
Yeah,
they've been buddies, yeah. I mean, we never see the Russian crew of the submarine later, Kyle. They just disappear.
That's true. It seems like they all got murdered. Yeah.
They're not even credited. I looked. It's quite insane. It's just British and American crews.
They just never even cast the Russian submarine, yeah.
Yeah, maybe they never gave up and they had to be killed.
Okay, to be specific, they're not being assigned to look for the submarines, they're being assigned to look for a tracking device for the submarines that someone has invented.
Yes, it was by some Poindexters.
By some Poindexters, yes, some classic scientists. Yeah. I guess that's what we get to right out of the opening, is we meet our Bond villain.
Yes, well, right. Before we meet the Bond villain, though, we do have the scene with Commander Bond in his Navy attire. We see Q, we see the Minister of Defence and M, and they're looking at the tracking thing, and they go, "How, Bond, why do you have this schematic map that tracks exactly the course of our British Navy sub that went missing?" Uh-huh. You know, because he puts it on the wall, and he's like, "Who knew about this?" And he's like, "It was just like three people, the captain, and the two admirals in the room, you know."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Well,
bunch of stiff upper-lipped British officers, yeah."
Yeah. And, you know, how, like, only us knew about it, you know, the tracking device is top secret. And then this is where we cut to the Poindexters on some mansion somewhere, Kyle.
Well, yes, we do think it's some sort of mansion. And he's just saying, like, "Oh, good work on that tracking device, boys. Here's your 20 million in your Swiss bank account." All that stuff.
Absolutely.
And these two scientists, they're very proud of themselves, you know.
They're very happy.
They worked hard on this.
They did work hard on this tracking device to undermine international security.
Yeah. Didn't realise their boss was a sociopath, apparently. But
apparently didn't. But listen, they're going to talk about something serious because there's a threat to their life, so we're going to need his assistant to leave the room.
Yes. This isn't girls' talk, you see.
This isn't girls' talk, so leave the room. But it turns out they have been betrayed and he's convinced that the person who betrayed them indeed was his secretary.
Yep.
In his elevator, he has a trap door leading to a shark tank.
Yes.
So
This is a Bond villain, yes.
F in the chat, Stromberg's secretary.
F in the chat. Yeah, that's his name, by the way, Stromberg.
Yep, I can't remember his first name. I just call him Stromberg the whole time.
Yeah, I have it written down somewhere. I have in my head it's Mark, but it can't be Mark Stromberg, can
No,
it?
it's not. No, of course not.
Carl Stromberg.
Yeah, that sounds more right. It looks quite rough, actually, the way, because they filmed the shark scenes quite well, in my opinion. Like, it looks quite scary. And
Yes.
they probably filmed this in 1976, the year after Jaws, the movie, came out. So we're all about sharks and how scary sharks are right now, you know?
Yes. Sharks are in the zeitgeist.
Yeah, sharks are in the zeitgeist. And speaking of Jaws, Kyle.
Speaking of Jaws, I don't think we meet Jaws here?
Yeah, we meet Jaws here. Yeah.
Yeah, we meet Jaws and other henchmen who's not quite as
Sandor.
iconic. Sandor, yes.
Sandor
Sandor
Clegane.
Clegane,
Yeah.
the mountain.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And he's quite a strong, bald man, you know?
Yeah. But not quite as iconic as our boy Jaws.
No, who honestly looks like he could be a slasher villain in his own right outside of the Bond
He's
franchise.
He's great in this movie. He really is.
So
he doesn't,
good.
He doesn't say anything, but he's just so, like, menacing and iconic, and he's having a great time while doing it.
I love him so much. Good for you.
It's a stupid gimmick, don't get me wrong, he has metal teeth, but whatever, it's fine.
A hell of a dentist put that in. Apparently it's got strong rivets in it, you know? I bet that was painful.
But yeah, he's also just a massive man.
Yes,
you see him
he
next
is.
to Roger Moore and he towers over him.
Absolutely. God. It's amazing this isn't some sort of Spectre operation.
It is, yeah. Because, yeah, as we learn, the paintings on his wall fold up and there's actually, like, a nice view underwater.
Yep. I thought they were all just screens because of the different... You can see so many different species of fish through each different screen.
Yes. It does seem very sort of screen-like, but it's not, apparently. It is windows.
It is apparently windows, yeah, and you see the water start to drain away slowly as we're coming up. And I thought this just looked like the size of, like, a interesting, like, ship.
Uh-huh.
Like, it looks like a big spider space station that's coming out from the water.
Yeah.
But you see it later
Apparently
on, and it's literally the
Apparently
size
it's a
of...
city.
Yeah, it's like the size of an oil rig or something. Like, it is a supercarrier of some description.
I think they actually call it Atlantis at some point. We'll get into what Stromberg's plan is in a bit, I'm sure.
Yeah, the film likes to bear the lead with that, so we will also do that.
Yeah. But yes, so both of our agents, our Russian agent and our British agent, have got a lead in Cairo. They have their own leads in Cairo. I think they both have agents in Cairo.
Yeah, they do.
Because Bond, he heads out into the desert and he meets some sort of guy, some British guy who's living in the desert who knows information.
Yes, some good old British imperialist chap that seems to be some sort of business owner who went to school with Bond. You know, they've come a long way since Cambridge.
Yeah, it's weird when we hit at Bond's backstory because I tend to not think of Bond as a real person.
Yeah, I don't really
But
think
I
he
guess-
ever went to school, but apparently.
No, because I was thinking this too, because obviously he's Commander Bond, and I'm always wondering, did Bond serve in the Navy at some point? Or was he just like a Marine?
This film says he was in the Navy.
Yeah, I can't imagine Bond being like a soldier, you know?
You can't imagine
Marching.
him having like the little seaman's whitey bib on and the hat.
No, I
with
cannot,
the little
no.
anchor on it and the bell-bottom trousers.
It seems very unlike him.
This is a Bond who served in the Second World War, right?
I suppose, yeah. I mean, that must be how they recruit MI6 agents, right? They pull them out of the military for special operations, probably.
I bet. Nobody just becomes it. They don't go, I want to be a spy. You get recruited via careers of interest.
M shows up to you in the middle of the night and says, I have a new role for you. Yeah.
You're about to take a step into a larger world you didn't know existed. Yeah. I'm going to take off the eye patch now. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so I just wanted to point out, because Bond, as usual, has a gross line in this, because the guy is like, oh, well, you'll never get a meeting with this chap who's got the information you need to meet this other chap who's got the information you need. There's a whole line going on here.
Yeah, he's told to go meet someone called Fakesh, and then when you meet Fakesh, you'll be able to meet Karba.
Yes.
But he says you can come and meet Fakesh later. And
yeah, it's going to be tomorrow. It's too late to get a meeting tonight. So stay the night with me, Bond.
my tent oasis with your camels.
Uh-huh. And Bond is initially resistant, but then, of course, a sexy lady comes up and he says, well, when one is in Egypt, one should delve deeply into its treasures. Gross, Bond.
Super gross, I agree.
I'll point out too, just because it's the 70s, we're in Cairo, and almost every single person there is white.
Yes, like I'm saying, this good old British imperialism, you know?
Yeah, it really
is.
is.
Is
Yeah.
pre-Suez Canal or post-Suez? When was this the crisis?
I don't know my geopolitical history
Right,
that
okay. I think this is roughly around. This is Suez decade, I think, you know?
well.
Sometime in the last 10 years there was the Suez crisis, but there's a lot of British people around, you know?
Yeah, but that does mean that on this week of Bond's tourism show, it is Egypt.
Yeah,
We're doing some
and-
Egypt tourism today.
Yeah, and home and away, we're going to Egypt this week, you know? And we're not just going to Egypt, Kel, and Cairo. We're going to the pyramids, really, because we go and we meet Fakesh's like secretary or lady or somebody who's trying to distract him, and he decides to start kissing him. She's quite conflicted because there's a man watching through the window and he's got a gun, and then she looks up at him and screams no, and then sort of takes the bullet.
I'm pretty sure Bond pushes her in front of the bullet is what happens there.
I don't think so. I don't think he had a clue what was happening. She kind of screamed no as she looked up at him, and sort of it looked like she almost lunged.
I think she was trying to escape the bullet.
But the bullet was never for her.
The way it's shot, it looks like he's about to shoot her in the head to go through and shoot Bond or something.
But they're standing side on. I was very confused as to what the heck happened here. But let's not really linger on it, because this woman doesn't matter. I should note I love Bond's sand suit with the baby blue shirt and the tie he's got on. I think it's a very nice suit he's got on.
It's desert suit, yeah.
It's very nice desert suit. But we're going to the pyramids at night time.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, first he has a fight with Sandor.
We do. He does fight with the Sandor's man with a gun that tries to shoot him.
Yeah. He punches him off the roof. He's holding onto his tie for dear life, and it's like, where is? Oh, I didn't write this guy's name down. Fakesh. Yeah. And so he does that. He hits his arm off. What a helpful chap.
Yeah. So if Sandor falls to his death, he falls off the roof.
Sandor.
Sandor. Sandor Clegane. Absolutely. But when we go to the pyramids, because that's where Fakesh is, watching some sort of big nighttime show about the might of the Egyptian pyramids and one of the
I have
biggest
to
wonders
assume
of the
this is a
world.
real thing, that they do light shows on the pyramids. I just never really thought about it.
With like all the seats all neatly rolled up like it's a cinema, and there's like the Sphinx and all that in perfect view. I don't have a clue, but I bet if this is not a thing they do now, surely. There might be a light show, but everyone like sitting down in nighttime evening wear attire. Sitting
in the 70s, I can see this sort of thing happening.
Yeah, in the 70s, yeah, not now though. I can bet they done it back then though. I think I would agree with you.
Now it's probably like a big sheltered thing that you sit in, and it's just tourists in their Sunday best, not Sunday best, just in their t-shirts.
Yeah, their t-shirts.
I love
shorts.
Egypt t-shirts. Yeah,
there's people there trying to sell you camel rides and triple the price and rip you off. Yeah. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be a tourist trap now, right? There's no class anymore.
Yeah, there's a McDonald's there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And in this scene, Bond shows up and he sees Fakesh chatting to some woman, and it is Triple X, so he doesn't know that yet. It's just some woman.
I think he does. I think he does recognize her.
I don't think they've met before.
I don't think they've met before, but they're like familiar with each other through the spy network.
Yeah, right, okay, right, yeah, based on their conversation later on, that would make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, Fakesh sees a man standing in the light of the pyramids being illuminated up and down, and it's Jaws, and he gets really anxious and gets up and runs away. But
he doesn't run away, he runs towards the pyramids.
He runs towards the pyramids, which is just bizarre. And this whole time, there's like a narration about how the wonders of the pharaohs and everything. It really is some Bond film tourism schlock here.
Yeah,
and it's all
very posh British narrator.
Yeah, and it's all happening sort of Bond and Jaws and Fakesh, and everyone's sort of just walking around in silence with the lights dimming and brightening and dimming and brightening. And it's a nice shot. It really does look nice.
Yeah, it's very atmospheric. I like it.
Yeah, but Fakesh runs into nothingness and locks himself in like a old tomb place.
Yeah,
and Jaws just bites right through those chains, Kyle.
He sure does. Yeah. Which, okay, it's obviously because he has the metal jaws, but that's just that's not the issue there. When you're biting through steel, the issue would be pressure, right? You gotta have some strong ass jaws to bite through steel.
I bet he does. He looks like a big strong man. Doesn't Bond hit him at one point? You hear Mel?
Yes, you do. You hear a metal clang when he punches him.
Yeah, so I think there's probably a lot more going on in Jaws than we ever really see. By the way, I just want to bring up right now, I was watching this on Prime Video, and I paused to take notes and stuff, and they have the X-ray feature where it sort of tells you who's in the scene of note.
Yep.
And in this scene, Michael G. Wilson has a cameo in the crowd. of the people that are sitting watching the Egyptian show, apparently.
You're going to have to remind me who Michael G. Wilson is.
Michael G. Wilson is the stepbrother of Barbara Broccoli, who is the daughter of Albert Broccoli. Is that his name?
Something like that.
Who is the like head of Bond? It's his franchise, you know. It's it's his name at the start of all these films. Now, Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli are the people who would both take over the Bond franchise during, I think, the either late Roger Moore era or the Timothy Dalton era. And they have controlled Bond right up until the end of last week, really.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Yeah.
there has been some Bond news recently.
There has been Bond news recently. Amazon, so we can date this show. Amazon has... Now, they bought MGM Studios a while ago, but the big sort of caveat to them getting MGM Studios was that they wouldn't not have creative control over the Bond franchise. This was like a crucial thing.
Right, yeah.
They would deal with international outside the UK distribution for the film, but they would have no actual control over how the films were made or what with the Bond IP was used. That is all changed now, as Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson have decided to bow out. Michael G. Wilson is an elderly gentleman now, and I think he's decided to retire. Barbara Broccoli apparently is going on to greener pastures. There's rumours that, because these are also the same owners of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, Kyle, they might be doing something to do with Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I can't wait for the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang 007 crossover of the century.
Get Dick Van Dyke back. I feel like we just have to bring it up now that because Bond is now got... Amazon have the creative control of the Bond franchise, Kyle.
Yeah.
And
There's no way they're going to sell on that.
Yeah, this means that we're about to enter the Bond cinematic universe.
Yeah, there's going to be spin-offs, there's going to be TV show prequels or whatever.
There's going to be the Moneypenny spin-off, there's going to be the, like that, you know, the Alfred Pennyworth show about young Alfred?
Yeah.
There's going to be one of them for M.
Young Q, yeah.
A young Q, there'll be the Q branch adventures.
Adventures of Q Branch.
Yeah, it'll be a kids show. Yeah. Now our show, Enter the BondVerse, Kyle, is sort of done with the sort of knowledge that you get one of these every few years, and we've got like 25 of these films to go through right now.
Yeah.
Whoa, we're going to have to discuss what our long-term plans are for this franchise pretty soon.
I guess we'll see, yeah.
Yeah. This does, however, probably mean that they're going to have say over who's cast as the next Bond, and indeed who is the director of the next Bond. Now, I have read some conflicting things saying that Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson will still have some involvement with the franchise. It's just that, like, maybe they get to kind of control some story elements, but overall, if Amazon say they want to make something, the thing will now be getting made, and it's just kind of up to them how much great involvement they want to have with it.
Yeah.
But that could mean not a lot because they just get the market flooded. Now, ultimately what I think is going to happen will be something more akin to like the Rings of Power show that they do for Lord of the Rings, except there will also be Bond movies. There might be one Bond series and then every other year a Bond movie.
I wonder about that though, because will it be the same Bonds? Because that would be weird.
Yeah, because like it's going to be one cinematic universe, so you kind of got it.
Yeah.
It'll be like those Doctor Who spin-offs where Peter Capaldi shows up and does like a pop his head in, hello, it's Doctor Who, and then leaves.
Yeah, are they going to do like the MI6 extended universe?
We're getting a 006 show.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that would be their way to like have a lady, I suppose, if they want to do that sort of thing without pissing everyone off.
Yeah, we're getting the 006 spin-off show with a lady, and then we're going to get the Bond.
A classic white chap to be Bond, yeah.
Exactly. Last casting word in the street was that they're just looking for a British man in his 30s. That was the only thing they were looking for.
Yeah, which is extremely generic, yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't say very much at all. And the only thing I'll say is I'm very happy they're keeping it British, Kyle. Very happy. I don't want an American. I don't want...
Well, that would define the point.
Kyle,
yeah.
I don't want 00 Ryan Gosling, right? I don't want it. I refuse to take it. You know...
Oh, Nathan, we're glossing over the obvious. The Felix Leiter show, obviously.
Oh... God, how silly of me. God, I'm
That's
an idiot.
what they're going to do.
That's exactly what they're going to do. The Felix Leiter show. Yeah, and he'll have his whole band of CIA things. It will be like a Homeland sort of show.
Exactly.
American domestic espionage show. Yeah, absolutely. God, this is going to be trash.
Well, let's stay in the good old days for now, shall we?
Let's stay in the good old days for now, where it's one movie every few years, and it's just very sexist. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. So Bond, he finds Jaws, but Jaws manages to Batman his way escaping with the lights. So
Yeah, he does.
Because Jaws, he just has those kind of skills.
Yeah,
you know?
he can just.
I think
he's more like Michael Myers than he is Batman.
Yeah, he is quite Michael Myers, yeah. He is established as being, like, he's not just a goon of Stromberg, he's like a professional killer that has been known for a while.
Yeah,
by Bond.
without the class, but somewhere maybe in the realm of...
Scaramanga.
Yeah. Thank you. Somewhere in that realm, a professional hitman killer you hire for contracts, except much more sinister.
Much more sinister and with a much more... I wouldn't say... I mean, I guess it's a sillier gimmick than a golden gun, but it is still a gimmick, you know?
And only 2 nipples.
He does only have 2 nipples. I mean, that we know of. We never see him with his shirt off.
We do not. Well, he kills Fakesh with like a vampire bite with his metal teeth.
Yes.
And it's
that's his signature move. He bites chunks out of people with his big metal teeth, yeah.
And it's just horrific because of the neck zone that he always goes for.
Uh-huh.
And F Fakesh, frankly.
F for cash, yeah.
But he had a little notebook that Bond's able to read to see where he was supposed to be meeting Caraba in a club soon.
Yes. And of course we get the real star of the Bond franchise, exotic foreign dancing.
Yes, absolutely we do. Yeah, this is still all the Bond tourism film at the moment.
Yeah, because now we're in like the Egyptian nightlife. We're in a club.
Yeah, absolutely we are. We should say this is where we briefly see Triple X and Bond meet briefly at the fight before they meet in the club officially.
Yes, they meet as adversaries.
Yeah.
But then they meet back up at the bar.
Yes, and Anya Amasova looks gorgeous in this dress.
Oh yeah, and Bond is rocking this tuxedo as well.
I honestly, I hate the 70s velvet with the big bushy hair.
I think it works. I think it's working for him.
Yeah, I just think it ages him. I think he just looks 20 years older. I think so I looked up, he's either 48 or 49 when this was made.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, this is kind of... I've always had this sort of long-run perception of the Moore era, that it's quite dandy and it's quite not serious. And those movies are to come, because we're 3 in.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And I like this movie, but aesthetically I'm starting to see it. I just think he just looks quite old all of a sudden. Uh-huh. It's not just him, the actor, it's the clothes. But you could say that it's the era, but I certainly didn't see it as much in the last 2 movies as I am in this one. It's the big
flared trousers. There's so much flare.
It's not even trousers. For me. It's actually not even the trousers. I'm quite forgetting of the bell bottom flare trousers. It's the it is the jacket. It's this everything looks corduroyed. You know, it's a bit like how Sean Connery looked in Diamonds Are Forever. You know, just a little bit out of step. But that's why I said the worst hair so far. I think, but I do like the film. It's just I had to bring it up.
Anyway, in this scene, this is why I say they know each other, because they order each other drinks and they know each other's drink orders.
Yes, they have chemistry, Kyle.
I suppose they do. I wouldn't exactly call it love, despite that being the name of the film. Like, they have a sort of attraction and mutual respect as fellow spies, but I don't believe in love. Yeah. It's love. Particularly because in this scene, she does bring up his wife. Tracy Bond reference, continuity is confirmed name.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Never a name, but married once, apparently, and that kind of upsets Bond a little bit. Yeah.
Well, she starts going into how his wife was killed, and she's like, that's enough, you've made your point.
Yeah, because we're not allowed to mention any Spectre elements anymore. We're at that era of the franchise.
Are we at that era? Interesting,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Listen, there's going to be some stuff happening in upcoming films that are going to be comical about it, right? But we're not, you'll never hear Spectre. So I should say, we're now in the era, Kyle, where we're never going to hear Spectre again until 2015.
Yep.
Right, Spectre.
I miss them.
Spectre dies with Sean Connery and George Lazenby and Diamonds Are Forever, with the exception of Never Say Never Again, right?
Yeah. Well, yes.
But we'll get there, I suppose.
But yeah, so they're meeting with Carba.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carba has this little thing, this little microfilm that is the information on the tracking device. But before he can sell it to them, he gets murdered by Jaws, who's disguised as a power repail man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
F. Carba.
What a real one.
Yeah, real one. We barely knew him.
Bond puts an out of order sign on his body. It's quite funny.
It is quite funny, actually. I do enjoy this. But he's going to go on a long-distance drive to the Egyptian ruins for some reason.
I think he's just taking them there to kill them.
Oh, because he knows they're in the back of the van, doesn't he?
Yeah, he knows he left the back of the van open so that they would dive in.
Yeah.
I don't know why they assumed that the back of the van was open, but
You could leave your door unlocked back in the good old days, Kyle.
It's very trusting in Egypt, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, back in the good old days you could do this. Now, when they're moving around through the ruins, Jaws sort of turns a corner and disappears, and there's this quite good tension building moment, because I always thought he was going to pop out and get the woman. Get Anya.
But no, then you see him in the background and he's up top on top of the ruins.
He's up top, and I was like, God, he's playing Assassin's Creed Origins.
He really is playing Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't know how he got up there so fast.
He's a great climber, because there's no way up there.
Yeah, no, you can climb up those pillars. That's what Assassin's Creed Origins told me. You
yes.
just climb up the little divots,
Yes, there's always little grip hook places in any sort of surface. Yeah. By the way, so in this moment, I am really enjoying Triple X and 007 together, because
they have a good dynamic.
Yeah, they back up to each other, and he's turns around with a gun, he's doing a little quick gun barrel moment, and she gets the judo
ready
chop.
for a karate chop.
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, exactly. So what I mean when I call this a feminist movie, Kel, my tongue is very firmly deep inside my cheek when I say it, right?
Yes.
She isn't sort of, oh, help me. The film, I actually argue in this movie she's a better spy than James Bond.
Well, and I much prefer this first half of the movie where they're kind of like rivals.
Yes.
Once they become partners, she does fall more into this just sort of I'm James Bond's assistant role.
Kind of, yes. Especially when they go to Atlantis and she's the wife assistant.
I much prefer it in this first half where they have this sort of adversarial sort of back and forth. I find that way more interesting.
I can agree with that. Well, Jaws is like a really shit Terminator in this moment. Because we do get what we're looking for from him, and we're trying to drive away from him, and he's just tearing the van apart with his bare hands, ripping the roof off it, ripping the side paneling off it.
And for some reason, James Bond is being so casual about this. He's just being sassy in the sidecar.
Well, Triple X tries to leave 007, doesn't she?
Yes, but he took the keys out of the van because he's smart.
Yeah, that's the one good bit of spy work he does. And they eventually get away, but he's just making all these sort of sexist comments.
He's making jokes, yeah. Well, first of all, he does bury Jaws in the rubble at some point.
Yeah, Jaws hits a wooden scaffold pole.
Yeah.
And it collapses on top of him. And then, what does Bond say?
He says, Egyptian builders. What do you mean, Bond? They built the pyramids. What are you talking about?
Yeah, this is such a weird bit, because I don't think it makes any sense, unless he's trying to make some sort of cowboy builders, you can't trust anybody to build anything for cheap kind of thing, and it's like a foreigner's thing. Is this a racist joke, Kyle?
I don't think there's any interpretation where it isn't racist a bit, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's basically just trying to be like, you can't trust like a foreign builder to do like a British man's job or something like that, because it's for
Bond is a by British guy.
Yeah, it's for the husbands and wives watching this in like a British cinema to go, oh yeah, I know, yeah, I'm getting the extension on the house, and I wouldn't want one of them building it for me, Yeah, it's a really weird joke.
Yeah, but I don't think specifically Egyptians have. When I think Egyptian builders, the first thing I think of is pyramids, right? One of the most long-lasting buildings in the world. That's my go-to for Egyptian buildings. Well, you
got to keep in mind with these kind of things, we do have survivor bias because we're only looking at things that survived.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, there is no cultural stereotype for Egyptians other than that I would think of for building stuff specifically.
You are right. You are right. I'm not on board with the racism, Kyle. I am on board with the.
That's wrong with you, Nathan. Yeah.
Thank you. I do. I need to speak out. I am, however, on board with the sexism here.
Okay, yeah.
Because I do get some yucks in where Bond's like, "Would you like me to drive?" And then he's just saying, "Oh, women drivers." When clearly you're being ripped apart by a shit Terminator here, Bond.
Yeah.
Your van's being lifted up.
Have you tried BondVerse? That's when it goes backwards. Yeah.
God. Then we eventually do get Jaws down and out, and she says, "Shaken but not stirred." Good one,
Indeed.
Anya Amasova.
Good one, Triple X. Yeah.
And we now get weird circus music when we're driving through the desert.
Yeah, because it's goofy, because the van is breaking down.
Yeah, apparently, yeah, everything's flapping off and everything, yeah.
There's another classic bit, though, where she's like, "Oh, it's the circular gasket," and Bond looks at the car, which is clearly in ruins, and goes, "Ah, that's what it is."
You're right. So F the van in the chat here.
F the van. F the telephone repair van.
Yeah, F the telephone repair van. We barely know you. A lot of deaths in this movie, Kyle.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, yeah.
But Bond has a little device for looking at the microfilm in his pocket.
Yes, well, they walk through the desert for a while like it's no big deal and find a boat.
Yeah, they make it to Siwa.
We do.
and the boatman says, I'll take you to Cairo. You're a little bit overdressed, but I'll take you to Cairo. Because they're both dressed in their fine casino dinery from the night before.
Yes.
And yeah, he looks at the microfilm and a lot of crucial information's been ripped out of it. But Triple X also wants to look at it as well, and they're sitting, they're talking. She's then actually trying to stay mission oriented, and instead of getting with him, she takes out her own microfilm thing or cigarette case and knocks him out with like a sleeping gas.
Yeah, she seduces him because he's an idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh, we have to keep warm with our bodily warmth, Bond. And he's like, oh, I love that part. Haha, I'm a horny bastard.
Yeah, he's like, oh, here we go. It's me, it's Bond.
He wiggles, yeah.
Sean Connery would have just hit her, I think.
No, Sean Connery would have seduced her with his charms and she wouldn't even try to poison him.
I see, you're right, yeah. And George Lazenby would have spoken to her nicely about philosophy. Yeah.
You would be a gentleman, yes.
Yeah, of course, naturally. But Triple X at this moment, I'm sure, is just a better spy than Bond.
I mean, she does outsmart him at this point. Yeah.
But Bond wakes up and she's gone, and he's like, "Oh, I got to get to the Egyptian branch of MI6." You know?
Yes.
And
well, okay, yeah. Last week you had a problem with the MI6 base and a turned over like passenger
ship. Yeah.
Ship, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say this is crazier, is to have an MI6 base in the freaking Egyptian tomb.
Right, so here's the thing. I actually think that the ship is still much more fucking absurd. Because that looked like it's meant to be that way. This looks like it's like a roughly assembled field base. And they've just had to set up like a quick office, you know? Like you can see like the strip lighting on the ceiling. You see it's just like
this brings up
desks.
The other question of like, does Q just bring his batch of scientists everywhere he goes? He always has like a crew with him.
He's a
to build random crap.
Q is a collective, Kyle.
That's true, because we do hear Q's name in this, which is very distressing.
Yeah, his rank is Major and his name is Boothroyd.
Yes, Q's name is something Boothroyd.
Yeah. That means he outranks Bond.
That doesn't surprise me.
Or is it Army versus Navy though? Like maybe like even though he outranks him, they don't actually.
That's true.
They don't have strict jurisdiction of crossover here, you know.
It's like how Diana Troy technically outranks most of the characters in TNG, but she's the ship counselor, so it never comes up.
She's a lieutenant commander. Yeah, absolutely. She wants to go for commander training, but she doesn't have the gall to send someone to their death until the end of the episode, where she has to send Jordan the holodeck program. I remember it. Yeah. No one else does, but there's no Star Trek actors in this film, Kyle. So we have to talk about Star Trek somehow.
I suppose, yeah. But yeah, so they have their base set up in this, and it turns out, well, he meets Moneypenny, who's also here. She just has her same desk set up in the Egyptian tomb.
Yes, she does, absolutely. And
I think this is Moneypenny's only scene in the movie. They're really skimping on Moneypenny in these last few movies.
She's earlier in the movie where M wants Bond to pull out of Austria. She speaks to Moneypenny and says, you need to contact Bond.
There's a very distinct lack of office bands in these Roger Moore movies.
Yes, there is. You're correct, though. There is a distinct lack of it. But the Comrade General of the Soviet Union's here as well. And then Triple X walks in as well, and M's there you are, Bond, and we're all working together here. We're all one big team. And it's a new era for Anglo-Soviet cooperation. And then we see the Q branch where there's like some sort of magnet catapult with dinner trays that will behead people.
Yes, with next to a model that looks suspiciously like James Bond, I would say.
Well, what Q says is, I want this ready for Ahmed's dinner tomorrow. So there must be some Middle Eastern assassinations going on.
Yeah.
But in this meeting we find out that, like I say, in the microfilm, bits are missing.
Oh, there's also, I just wanted to point out, also in this montage is a saddle with a spike that comes out into it. Which is just horrific. Yeah. Yes.
Absolutely. But Bond and Amasova are now officially working together after this. Like, they're now like a team.
Yes. They've been partnered, to find these missing submarines.
We're taking a train to Italy, Kyle.
Yes.
Which is quite a long distance, because you've got to go up through like Israel and Turkey and around from Egypt.
I would think so, yeah.
Or unless you're getting a boat, but they're clearly getting a train. Though, crucially, Q does get a boat over, because he brings the spy car. But this is all just an excuse for, like, like a Jaws jump scare on a train where he pops out.
It's a pretty good jump scare.
Yeah,
to be
it is
fair.
yeah. He's just got a really dead stare with this like.
Yeah, you
metal
gotta wonder
smile.
how long he's been stood in that cupboard.
Yeah, because
just waiting for someone to open it.
it's very
It
cramped.
must have been since before they got in the room.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But Bond kicks him out of the window after a long fight,
Uh-huh.
and he goes through an electric fence, and you think that would be him dead, but he gets up and he's fine. And Bond says he just dropped in for a quick bite.
Yeah, Michael Myers is really the best sort of like comparison. He's just like this unstoppable killing machine.
Yeah,
he just
no words.
He just gets up and he brushes off his suit and he just keeps walking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, except he's got more fashion than Michael Myers.
Yes,
Yeah.
he's wearing like a bright blue suit in this
Yeah, in
scene.
this scene. Yeah. But now this is where Amasova and Bond are about to really get down and dirty, and you know they are because a sexy saxophone of sex starts playing. Kyle, really,
Oh yeah,
really over everything. I was like, turn it down! I can't hear what people are saying. Of course, we don't need it because we're going to crossfade Kyle to a horse and buggy. You know, where Bond.
because we're in Italy now.
Yeah, now we're in Italy.
We don't do as much Italy tourism as we do in Cairo. We're more focused on the movie in Italy.
Yeah, we're in Sardinia, which is an island off the coast of Italy, but it's an Italian island. And like we see Q arrives,
This is where Anya calls him Major.
Major Boothroyd.
Boothroyd.
Yeah, and I didn't know if we knew this or not. It was quite troubling, frankly, when she said it.
We
was
definitely didn't know this.
yeah,
no.
because me and you would talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose he's got kids and all that. So it's like the Boothroyd family, Mr. and Mrs. Boothroyd.
Well, I mean, yeah, I didn't assume his name was Q. I always knew Q was a code name.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just weird to hear his actual name.
Yeah, no, I know that, right? But like, what's his home life like? You know, he gets a letter from Mr. Boothroyd.
He makes gadgets for his kids.
Oh, he does. For the kids at Christmas. Yeah, he makes
Yeah.
the government grade gadgets. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
right.
But yeah, he does give Bond a car. I thought it was a Lambo. It's not. I'm bad at cars. It's a Lotus.
It's a
but
yeah, it's a
whatever.
nice, but it's a nice car. I know less about cars.
It's
than
a
you.
nice car. Yeah.
It's a very nice car. It's a
It's-
very nice white sports car, and Q's going to
Yeah,
give
one
Bond
of
the
the
tutorial.
less iconic Bond cars because it's not an Aston Martin. But
I
it's
think
pretty good.
I think this is known as the submarine Bond car, so I think it's fairly
yes,
iconic
that's true.
in
It
its
is
own
known
right.
as the submarine car.
yeah,
Spoilers. It's a submarine
it's
car.
a submarine car. Well, Q's about to give Bond a tutorial. Bond doesn't want the tutorial, and he says, "Q, have I ever let you down?" Q just replies,
Frequently.
"Frequently." Yeah.
And then Bond speeds off without a care in the
Yeah.
world.
Well, we get to the hotel,
Mhm.
and Moneypenny has booked 2 separate bedrooms with 1 shared sitting room for
Yes.
them. And the receptionist just loves this. She's all over Bond when she figures this out. If the film had more time,
course.
Bond would be like assaulting this lady.
I would be a solid if it's consensual.
Well, you're
Nathan.
correct. You're correct. I just see Bond as some sort of like pheromone letting off assaulter. He tricks people, you know.
It wouldn't surprise me if he had some sort of sex pheromone. Yeah,
Yeah,
if he's like, what's that race in Star Trek that Famke
Orions.
Janssen is? Oh, there's the Orions. Yeah, I was also thinking of the Orion makes more sense actually. Yeah, than the one I was thinking of.
I'm trying to think of who you were thinking
'Cause-
of. The
perfect mate one who like becomes whatever you want to have sex with.
oh right, okay. No, I was thinking of the people from Riza.
Oh yeah.
You know,
There's
they
the
get,
people from Orions. They're just generally horny though. But
Yeah.
the Orions, you're right, they do have like a sex pheromone.
yeah, they do. The lady ones do. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
what the men that are like pretending to be the space captains aren't actually in charge. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. But I think Bond's an Orion. That's what I'm saying. A lady Orion specifically. Yeah.
God, George, what's his face? Was a horny bastard, Star Trek man.
Who are we talking about?
The guy who made Star Trek, he was really horny.
Gene Roddenberry.
Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah. Gene Roddenberry was a real pervert. Yeah. He'd have gone far in the BondVerse.
He would have.
Yeah, God, he'd be a great Bond villain.
I would love to see his Bond film. What do you think he would do?
I think it'd be this actually.
I'm sure the villain would be some sort of sex thing, right?
Yeah, I suppose this villain has a distinct lack of sex until like
That's true,
until
yeah.
he takes Triple X later on, changes her clothes into like a
Yeah,
top
it seems like
bikini.
there's a bunch of stuff cut out of this movie. We'll get into it.
It does absolutely.
But yeah, so I can't remember how, but at some point they figure out that Carl Strongberg, one of the richest men in the world, might be behind
Some
this.
sort of in the microfilm. It's sort of like smudged off like the quick
Oh
photocopy.
yeah, it's like his logo or something.
Yeah.
Because Q's like, well, it can't be him. He's one of the richest men in the world. And then the Russians who are communists are like, oh no, we don't trust rich people. Come on, that's the most obvious reason why it would be him.
Awkward moment for today, right? Absolutely.
Nathan, I can't imagine the richest man in the world would be evil.
No,
okay?
I don't think so either. I think that he would actually be some audited government official, actually, that would have a position,
I agree,
a salary.
Yeah. I think we should give him more power. Yeah.
Listen, I would. I'm not for the death penalty, right? I could not, in good consciousness, give power to a rich capitalist ever. But I would give power to Stromberg's assistant, who comes to pick up Bond and Amasova.
Oh, Naomi
in her speedboat. What a handsome craft, Kyle.
What a handsome craft. Perfect lines.
Such lovely lines.
Such lovely lines.
But Bond here is Bond has
really he's talking about the women.
Bond has a cover of being some sort of marine biologist, and Amasova is his wife / assistant.
New identity, Robert Sterling, marine biologist.
You need to keep track of these identities, because I certainly haven't been.
I haven't been either, but I feel like I should start.
Yeah, there's a few ones like Hillary, Hilly.
Yes, yeah. Hilly, yes. The was it heraldry expert? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the one from You Only Live Twice.
No, me either.
But when we get to Stromberg's base Atlantis, again, earlier in the movie I just thought it was like a submarine sort of coming out of the water that could maybe steal the odd ship here or there. It is like a supercarrier all rig. It's huge.
Yes, it's very big.
It's massive. It really does look like a space station in the water.
Yeah, and Stromberg is just like obviously a Bond villain. He's not even hiding it. There's a body in the ocean that you can see from his window.
Yeah, it's just there in this little aquarium. It's so unsubtle. Yeah, absolutely. And he never addresses it, and Bond clearly looks at it, but also doesn't address it. But why would Stromberg grant an audience with this marine biologist? He quizzes him, makes sure he knows what fish are, and Bond knows the answer to the kind of fish, and he's like, okay, could you pass the test?
I can only assume that Stromberg is just like making sure that this is a spy.
If you didn't let him on your supercarrier, like, what is there to gain or lose by allowing him here, you know?
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
Just so you can meet the Bond villain.
Yeah, and apparently Naomi warns Bond, by the way, he doesn't shake hands, but then Bond wants to shake his hand anyway, and then Stromberg just doesn't. And I'm like, oh, you knew this, what was the point? Is it to build up like he doesn't like touching people and he's a bit of a weird introvert? Is that it?
I guess so. It doesn't really come up again.
No, it does not.
Just doesn't like, he's just kind of rude. He doesn't shake hands.
Well, Jaws walks in after Bond leaves. It's quite a quick meeting, and and Stromberg tells Jaws to kill them when they reach land.
Yes.
Do you remember what happens, Kyle? Would you like me to continue?
Well, this is when we get a car chase, right?
Yes, this is where we get a car chase. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's an escalating. It's probably one of the better car chases we've had so far, because obviously sometimes car chases. I think the issue with car chases is often they just kind of drag on too long, and it's just like, oh, it's a car goes past, and then another car goes past really fast.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's been a motorbike with a sidecar pass following Bond for quite some time now, for the past mile.
Yes.
And then they're speeding up to get away from it, and they're stuck behind a fucking chicken lorry or something, Kyle. I don't know.
Yes.
But it's a narrow mountain road and it won't move. But we find out that the sidecar of the motorbike is actually a land missile, Kyle.
Yeah, it's a land torpedo, yeah.
A land torpedo, yeah. And Bond's able to get out in front of the feather truck and quickly swerve back in against a lorry coming the other way. And it hits the back of, because apparently the chicken lorry is actually in two different trailers, and it hits the back one, because the film really wants you to know that the driver of the lorry is actually unharmed.
Yeah. There's no innocents harmed in this attack.
Rare for a Bond film.
He usually doesn't kill innocents, does he?
No, but I think they usually get caught up in the nonsense, you know?
But yeah, so Biker Man gets covered in feathers and ends up, like, freaking out and falls off the cliff.
All those feathers and he still can't fly.
Glad you're making quips, Bond. I don't know how you saw that.
Yeah,
Sure.
I don't know how you saw it, but he did. He's got a wing mirror scale.
Yeah. So then, okay, this is what I like about this chase scene. It escalates, you see?
It does. We go from a bike to a car.
A car. Jaws is in the car with some goons and they're just firing guns. I can't even remember how, this is a car with gadgets. So the back, Why can't I never remember words?
The number plate comes down.
The number plate comes
And it
down
fires
and it shoots out
some
some like stuff.
Yeah, that covers the windscreen of the chasing car, so Jaws and his goons can't
Yes.
see. Instead of just braking like a normal person, they said speed up and swerve around, hoping that like speed will knock the shit off the windscreen. I don't know.
Yeah, they start panicking.
Yeah, and then we just tumble off the edge of the cliff and into some poor Italian farmer's hut.
Yeah.
He's sitting there drinking some wine.
Yeah, his livelihood is ruined.
Yeah, absolutely. But Jaws is okay. He just walks out of the hut.
Yeah, he just walks out the front door. Yeah, because he's Jaws. Yeah. Those other two goons, I have to assume, are paced.
It's a bit of a
but he's
slapstick
fine.
moment. Didn't even get any blood
It
in
is
his
a
suit.
bit. But then we escalate again because now there's a helicopter.
Yes, there is. Piloted by Naomi, Stromberg's assistant.
Yeah, there's a fun shot where the helicopter comes up next to the car and she waves, and Bond's like, "Oh, hello." Yeah.
And then we're getting chased and there's missiles going off and we're blowing up the road, and then Bond just dives off the edge in the car and he's like, Triple X is like, "What the hell are you doing?" Even though apparently later on she stole the plans for this car, so...
I was going to say, yeah, that doesn't actually make
Yeah, it
sense
doesn't-
because she knows what the car
Yeah,
is.
she knows exactly what the car is. And then we turn into submarine mode and the helicopter just sort of ceases to be relevant.
Oh, they blow up.
Oh yeah, they do blow it up, they do, you're correct.
They fire a missile at
They
it.
do fire a missile at it, you're right, from underwater, don't they?
Yeah, F Naomi.
F Naomi, RSVP Naomi, yeah. You're not coming to the wedding.
So then they do some underwater scouting on Atlantis
Yes, we do.
because they saw like this model of this freighter that he has before.
Yeah, it's
and they
apparently
were
it's
like,
the-
well, that's a weird
The
freighter.
world's largest tanker, behind the Karl Marx, of course, Kyle, because remember Anya's Russian.
Of course, yes. How could I forget? Nathan, her accent is so good.
So it's just so prevalent over the film, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, so they do some scouting, but then we keep escalating the chasing because now they get chased by some dudes, some underwater scuba men. We're doing underwater chases now.
They're on little power subs. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And they have little like single-use torpedoes that come off the front, and Bond's just sort of
Yes.
ducking, diving, and the submarine moving and ramming into them, and he's got missiles in the car that he can use to kill them. And you see this weird orange rusty blood coming off them.
And then when those guys are dead, they send out the submarine to chase
little
them.
two-man submarine. Yeah, it's like something from Grand Theft Auto. And Bond takes them all down, but he's looking through the window of the Atlantis, because the Atlantis is like a observation window that Bond in his car can sort of hover outside of and look in. I wish they had like an interior shot looking out at the car looking in.
That would be good.
Yeah, that would be good. But Bond can see the like tracking device that basically Stromberg is using, so now he has visual proof that like Stromberg is indeed the man. You know, I knew you
Yes,
knew that,
as if
but
it wasn't incredibly obvious by now.
yeah, but now you just adding to the pile of evidence, right?
Uh-huh.
Because Kyle, this is a world where we're going to pretend that there'll be a trial in a court case or something.
Yeah. That's what Bond does. He has a license to kill, but he doesn't use it. He always brings people to justice.
Yes, absolutely. He's a man of the court, you know. But we're back at the hotel, Kyle, and this is where Anya has found out that Bond killed her lover at the start of the film.
Yeah, he makes like a little commentary. He's like, "Oh, I was skiing.
I got this
Switzerland
watch in
last week."
Austria.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago. She's like, "Oh, did you kill my lover in Austria 3 weeks ago? He was also there 3 weeks ago, and he died for a Russian Secret Service agent."
And Bond could easily say, "I don't know," or no, just says, "Yeah, I did."
Yeah, I did it. This was part of the job. He knew that was part of the job. You know that's part of the job. I know that's part of the job. Like, what are you getting sad
And
about? Of
Nathan-
course I did.
See, when this happened, I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. It's going to establish some cool character stuff for the third act of this movie."
Yeah, some tension,
right?
yeah, because she threatens to
Some
kill him when
tension.
the mission's over.
Well, yeah, she says, like, she's going to do the mission because she's a professional, but once the mission is over, she will kill him because he murdered the love of her life, right? And I was like, "Oh, character stuff, let's go."
Yeah, let's do it, yeah.
Ah, Nathan,
We'll
I'm
get...
disappointed.
We'll never get there.
But yeah, so they commandeer an American submarine.
The USS
And-
Wayne.
yeah, these are our token Americans for the
These are
movie,
token-
these good old American
No
boys.
Felix Leiter to be seen.
No Felix Leiter, but we do have Commander Man.
Commander... Oh, I can't remember his name. I can't...
Benson, something
It's-
like that.
I did have... I don't have it written down, but I did know it. That's quite annoying.
I mean, we should, because he becomes the second
He becomes
main lead of the
he
movie.
becomes the Bond girl of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He really does, yeah.
Well, he says, like, you're welcome to make use of, like, our facilities on board while you're here. and then he sees that Triple X is a lady because she takes her helmet off and the hair comes.
Yeah, and he does
down.
some real sexism for a
He's
minute.
like,
there.
whoa,
He's like, oh,
whoa.
a woman as a spy? What?
Now, listen, Kyle, he says, would you like to use my shower, Major? Because, like, it probably... And she's like, I don't need any favours. And she's like, well, considering circumstances, actually, I think you probably better. Now, I think this is because probably in a submarine it's all communal showers.
Yeah, probably.
And he's trying to do her a favour. Like, you can use a private
Okay.
officer shower, right?
But also, he does get to watch her shower naked because he keeps the door cracked open.
I think it's just like a shower curtain or something, Kyle. I don't imagine that he's being that pervy, because he's not perving. It's the officer that comes in to give him a report that's perving.
I suppose. Sure.
He says, what's the matter? You never seen a major take a shower before? To the officer? You know, like, listen, I think this US Navy commander's hands are clean, right?
Okay,
I believe
fine.
he's just trying to do her nicety, right? So that she doesn't need to take a fucking communal shower with a bunch of men.
Fair enough. Okay.
He's a nice man.
I'll give him that.
He's a nice man, I think. Unlike his weird subordinate that comes in and goes, whoa, hey, a woman in the shower on a submarine. What's this? He just looks like 3 times as he's backing out of the room.
Uh-huh. It's weird that we have this moment so late in the movie, that like, oh, you're a woman moment, because like, you feel like we're past that point in the movie now.
I guess people are still figuring it out. You know, these Americans haven't really been in the movie before. This is them meeting her for the first time, and she's in the field. She's not in a nightdress. She's like in military attire. This is the last bit of feminism this film has.
It really is, yeah. So they're looking for the ship, and the whole thing happens, and the submarine gets captured.
Yes, yeah, and this is the bit where you
And this
see the
is-
tanker, because they're hunting the tanker, I believe, at this point.
Yes,
And it's
they
like
are.
it's right behind us. Oh.
Yeah, and it swallows them up just like the ship, and you only live twice.
Yes, it does.
The opens up.
So the whole front opens up and it takes them in. It can house 3 subs inside it.
Yes.
In a way, I think this was a more effective evil villain base than Atlantis, because Atlantis just doesn't feel real. This feels like it could be.
Yeah. I don't understand why they didn't just combine those two, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly, right. But we now have a British sub, a Russian sub, and an American sub on board this tanker. Now,
Yes.
the Russian crew we never meet. I wonder if they were gassed, because they put these like...
That's true, they didn't. Yeah, that's because they say if you don't open up and surrender, we'll fill the room with cyanide gas.
Yeah, we'll just kill you. Yeah, we'll fill the sub. And then, so the Americans have surrendered. We find out all the British had also surrendered, and we never ever meet the Russian crew.
Good on those Russians.
Good, yeah,
Die with honor.
Good on them. Yeah, yeah, they're real Klingons, real Vikings. And this is where we kind of find out Stromberg's plan.
Yes.
He wants to use the Russian sub to nuke New York, and the British sub to nuke. Though he uses is the British sub to nuke Moscow.
Yep.
And create Armageddon, forcing people to live in his underwater cities that Atlantis is like the
Yes.
prototype for.
He wants to rebuild humanity under the ocean.
For a reason.
Yeah, I think, looking at our list, this is the most insane Bond villain so far.
Yeah, it is.
Because, like, most of our Bond villains so far, I think all of them have just been greed-driven, right? They just want money.
Yeah, basically.
Even when Blofeld is doing space lasers and stuff, he's doing it for extortion.
Yeah.
And Bond even goes up to this guy and he's like, oh, how much do you want? Because I've been through this routine before. You're going to hold the world hostage.
Yeah, the man with the golden gun is doing it for professional courtesy.
Well, he also wants money. He's got the whole solar power thing.
Oh, he does. Yeah, he does. You're correct. Yeah, but yeah. So we're speaking to Stromberg, and you're right, Kel. So go back on track. How much do you want?
And he's like, well, you're deluded, Bond. I want to blow up the world and live underwater like Aquaman.
There is no price tag. I want to be underwater. Blub 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 blub.
Yeah, he's just bonkers insane.
He's
Yeah.
just a madman. Yeah, he is. Now,
I guess, Nathan, that's a pretty good commentary on tech billionaires, though, isn't it?
I guess it is.
just-
Well, I wouldn't know, Kyle.
Just like how they want to live on Mars, right?
Kyle, I think this is too fictitious to ever be real. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, a billionaire would never want to create a new society where they're all powerful.
In a foreign environment. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Never
Nathan,
met the guy.
capitalism was the real villain all along.
True. Well, not in this case, Kyle, because he hasn't forced my money.
Yeah, but he can't do all this because of money.
It's true.
right? 'Cause he's rich.
True. Yeah. Absolute power corrupts. Yeah.
Do you think all of these, I guess, because he has like the sort of assistant captain man who's wearing like his naval captain's hat. He looks like an old sea captain sailor, like the guy from The Simpsons.
Yeah. Actually looks like he's in like a Royal Navy uniform, to be honest. He looks like he'd fit in with Commander Bond.
Which doesn't make sense because he's a privateer, right? But still, so he's here now. He's in charge of the ship. And all these goons, I guess, all sort of believe in this philosophy. They must,
or they have all
They're
the information
loyalists.
compartmentalized, and no one quite knows the full picture of what it is they're doing.
But he has a private army. There's a lot of goons on the ship.
A lot of people in orange jumpsuits, Kyle. Yeah.
Yes.
Or red jumpsuits. So it's a weird colour.
And they're all sitting around that room from A New Hope. The
Yeah,
briefing room.
that's exactly what it is. Yeah, except it's got a big globe in the middle. But there's not a lot of computers, so it looks like they're all sitting on their iPhones.
Yeah, they have little like touch screens.
Yeah, they're all sort of like sitting down with them on their knees. Yeah, it's a very modern work environment, Gal. Well, we get taken
this
to,
is
like,
the point where
the brig or something.
Yeah, this is the point where Annie just completely disappears from the movie.
Yeah, so Stromberg's like, bring her with me. You know, she briefly tries to disguise herself, putting her hair up inside a hat, and then she gets pushed.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, the hat falls off, and her hair comes flying out. And it's a gorgeous shot, actually. And she fucking turns around and knocks one of the Stromberg's men out, you know, then Bond gets involved. But yeah, so Stromberg's like, take her with us to Atlantis. She will join us in the new civilization, but put Bond with the others. You know, and Bond says, you know, au revoir, Anya, you know.
And yeah, this is when Commander Man takes over the role as second lead.
Yeah, so the commander of the USS Wayne and Bond get taken to the British and American, like, brigs, I guess, on board. And then they free them somehow. I wasn't quite...
I don't even remember. Bond just kind of immediately escapes. I can't even remember how.
It's like he punches one of them, they open the door, and everyone just goes to water, if you pardon the pun.
Yeah.
And
I think so.
Yeah, then they just like they free the British crew and they free the American crew. They kind of say, you know, here's the plan: get to your subs, get all the guns, get to the armory, and they do kind of win the fight. There's also grenades flying. It honestly, it feels like a callback to You Only Live Twice's final fight with like all the ninjas coming down through the ceiling. You know, it's this big wide open shot of instead of the inside of a volcano, it's like inside of the tankers like hold with the 3 submarines, and it's this big.
Oh yeah, it's a full-on ground war.
Yeah.
Because they managed to like fortify the control room.
Yeah, they bring down like
these like metal shutters,
and they've got these little firing holes. Yeah.
Yeah, they shoot flamethrowers through it and stuff.
And there's like lots of other members of Stromberg's crew outside of it, and they're like
the British captain gets immediately killed.
He throws grenades. There's so many grenades. Grenades must have been in the news because there's just so many grenades being thrown around here.
There's a lot of grenades. Yeah.
Yeah. But at this point, the Stromberg's Crew 1 and Crew 2 for the Russian and British subs have been sent out to sea, so they're kind of gone. By the way, I haven't really mentioned the model shots of this are excellent. See these submarines coming in and out of the ships and seeing them all in the water? Like, it looks like it was all done for real. None of it actually looks like a model shot.
It's very good, yeah.
And now there's like a British commander that's in charge of the British crew, but I think he also then dies. So now it's just, this is really where American USS Wayne Man becomes the co-lead of the film.
Yeah. So yeah, they're at a stalemate. They've killed all the guys outside of the control room, but they can't get in. So Bond is like, I know what we'll do. We'll go to the nuclear missile silo and grab a nuclear bomb.
Yes, because apparently we just have nuclear missiles on this tanker that weren't aboard the submarine for some reason.
I guess they got spares.
You get spare nukes, okay. And they're in the Cold War.
I don't know why they took the nukes off the submarines in the first place.
I don't think they did. I think that maybe they're giving.
Well, they did because we see them reloading the submarines.
Oh yeah, I see the missiles getting put back on board. I see them saying put back on board. We never see them getting taken out. I just assume that happened off screen. Could this just have been a nuclear powered submarine without nukes aboard? Now they're being given nukes. Because the rest of their armaments weren't taken off, Kyle, because they have all these micro missiles. Because the USS Wayne Man, when they get back on board their submarine, tells the armory to load a certain kind of missile so they can blast their way out the tanker's front door. Yeah, I don't think the American one is a nuclear submarine. I think it's just a regular submarine. Right, okay. I thought they were all nuclear submarines. I don't see why... I don't know why they would send a nuclear submarine on this mission. I think it's just a regular submarine. They all look the same size, but I guess that's the model work for you. Yeah, it is. Yeah, they all have the same engineer apparently. Yeah, it's the Star Trek scaling issue where like the Defiant looks the same size as a runabout in some shots. Yeah. But so yeah, they don't take the actual nuclear device. They just take the detonator. And he got to do some good don't touch the metal wiring moment, or else the whole thing will
Yes.
go off and everyone's sweating and Bond's
And let me
in
tell you,
charge.
Bond has some real shaky hands.
Oh yeah, he does. 49-year-old man. Yeah. Absolutely, he does.
But yeah, so he has a plan. He's going to sneak up. He's going to plant this thing on the front of the door so they can blast their way in. The Bond theme is going crazy.
Yes.
And then he cuts the wire. The Bond theme just stops. Great gag.
Yeah, guy's a good gag. I even sometimes when I'm watching these sort of long played out moments, my eyes start to kind of glaze over a little bit because I'm just waiting for the next thing to happen. But yeah, I clicked back and I was like, "Oh my god, that's great!" This is where he's riding atop the big golden ball camera that's been sort of tracking them in this launch base, the whole film basically.
Yes, so they can't see him because he's on the camera.
Yeah, he's riding atop the camera, so he rides it back towards the metal shutters, and this is where he plants the bomb. And when they get in there, they kind of just immediately win. Like the only thing that gave the command crew any control was the metal door. Now it's gone. They've lost.
They're just a bunch of admin guys.
Yeah, basically. Now the captain's been on the phone to Stromberg saying there's been a breakout, and Stromberg's like, "Well, I hope you got that under control. That would be great if that fell apart, you know."
Yeah.
Should have maybe put your control base inside Atlantis, perhaps, and not on board the tanker ship, maybe, perhaps?
Yeah, you gotta have backup Stromberg, you know?
Stromberg's an idiot.
Because what they eventually do is they get the coordinates of both the submarines and send them to each other as their new targets, and I don't see how this makes sense.
Nukes go up into high orbit, so they can kind of go wherever, you know?
Yeah, but then why did they bother sending the submarines out at all? Just launch them from...
government organisations on the respective landmasses know where they fired from, maybe? Like, so it looks like it was a Russian sub pointed at America, you know?
Both Russia and America know about the stolen subs because they've both sent people on this mission.
Harder to intercept if they both launched from the same spot? I don't know. Is it a spot scale? You gotta go out in case they crash into each other, right? You know?
I suppose.
But
I thought that's what was going to happen at first because we see them on the tracking thing on the globe.
Yeah, the weird globe
past
situation.
each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they do pass each other. I thought the nukes were going to cancel each other out and the sub-crews would get to live, but no. We're going to detonate, Kyle, 2 nuclear explosives, both in the Atlantic at the exact same time.
Uh-huh.
That feels like that had been somewhere in the news.
I mean, I never got the impression that this was the real world, Nathan. It was a space laser a few movies ago.
Oh, yes, I know exactly, right? But you feel like this would have, like, there would be, like, tsunamis and stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah, this is going to cause environmental devastation for sure, yeah.
Or not.
I don't know, I mean, we've detonated nukes in the ocean before, haven't we?
We have, kind of, but in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, I assume these were in the middle of nowhere.
I got a distinct impression that the Russian sub, or the British sub facing Russia, was somewhere kind of near Spain or the Canary Islands or something.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to tell, really. Nathan, it's fine. The day is safe. Don't worry about it.
The day is safe. Don't worry about it. But we've still got 12 minutes left in the movie, Kyle. So we've got to go get Stromberg and Anya, because Amasova Triple X, despite threatening to kill Bond, we're going to forget about that threat at the moment. We're just going to go save her, even though the US government is saying, "Hey, go blow up Atlantis right now." And Bond's like, "Give me an hour. Give me an hour."
I don't know why the American government is so eager to blow up. The immediate threat is over now. You could probably capture Stromberg and take him in for questioning, but no, blow up.
Do what the Americans do best, you know? And
oh, there we go. It's commentary.
Hey.
I'm shocked J.W. Pepper isn't on the submarine.
This is his son. Yeah, no.
Can you imagine that reveal? It's like, oh yeah, Commander, what was your name again? Oh yeah, my son, J.W. Pepper Jr., sir.
Well, this is called a wet bike jet ski that Q has made for Bond, and it's got bar handles and all that, and it's just a really weird shot of Navy officer Bond riding a jet ski across the ocean to head to Atlantis. It's just a funny look.
Yes.
Because surely we would have had to have surfaced the submarine to get out, and people would have noticed that, you know? Has Atlantis got no weapons on it or something? Apparently not.
It seems like Atlantis only has 3 people on it, so...
Weird.
Yeah.
Well, Stromberg is smart enough to just, like, immediately send Bond down the shark tank in the lift.
Yeah, he's already had his big, I've explained my plan speech, so now he's just going to try and kill him.
Yeah, but Bond somehow knows how to do the splits when the floor falls beneath him.
Yes, he says, you did want me to drop in. Good, it's good.
So, Stromberg has like a bloody long gun barrel beneath this desk that goes like the length of like the dinner table.
It's like a harpoon gun, I think.
It goes the bloody length of the table. It's so long.
Yes.
I don't.
It's specifically useful for if someone is sat across the room.
Yeah, exactly, and only for that. It couldn't even fire left or right.
But even Stromberg is with you. It's like, are you really coming all this way to rescue Triple X?
Yeah.
I guess you're... And he says, like, I guess you must be in love. But I don't really get the impression that he is. I
No.
guess it's just sort of professional courtesy.
Yeah, even though
It's
she
like,
threatened
well,
to kill him, and the film's not resolved that yet.
I guess he's just like, I could probably charm my way out of
The
it.
film says they're in love. I don't buy it at all.
No, I mean, the film's called The Spy Who Loved Me.
Yeah, but I don't buy it.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I don't even really think the film tries to really have you buy it either.
No, not really. No.
It's a weird title for a film.
But yeah, this is where, like, I wish the movie did... I wish that instead of a final fight against Jaws, which is what happens,
Yeah.
it was a final fight against Anya or something, because then that would be more, like, in keeping with the rest of the movie.
Yes, it would be, wouldn't it? Yeah. But Kel...
And it wouldn't have to resolve. They would maybe come together on their differences to escape or something and then part ways.
But Kel,
like,
this isn't a feminist film.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Because now she's just a damsel.
She is just a damsel, and she's had a uniform change out from the army fatigue she was in.
Yeah, this is why I say there's scenes cut where it seems like there was some whole thing going on with Stromberg and Anya that we didn't see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it does feel like she might have been having her own mini movie at this point, like where you're just cutting between Bond on the tanker and Anya on Atlantis, and you're just cutting between the two. But no, we're dedicating all our time to Bond, and Anya's just tied up in some sort of top bottom bikini situation thing. And it's the same colour palette as Stromberg's crew on the tanker, so it's red, it turns black when it gets wet. It's quite a nice colour change, actually. But Bond shoots down Stromberg's really long barrel, Kyle, and shoots him in the dick a couple times.
Yeah, and then he shoots him like 3 more times just for good measure. He just straight murders Stromberg.
Yeah, so F Stromberg.
Not one of her best Bond villains, I'll be honest.
Not really. But this film doesn't have time for a Jaws standoff, but it's going to try. So we're going to shoot him in the middle.
And I don't know why Jaws cares.
Just because he's professional, Kyle, and this is the
I guess
boss.
so. He finishes his job. He's like Anya.
Yeah, exactly, right? But there's a magnet in the shark chamber, Kyle, which is where we end up in this fight.
Yeah, I do not know why.
I don't have a clue either, but it picks up Jaws by the mouth, and how's that grab you, Kyle? How's that grab you?
Grabs me by the jaws,
Grabs
I guess.
you right by the jaws, and then he's going to dump him into the shark pit. And now...
so it's Jaws versus Jaws, baby.
Jaws versus Bruce. And F Jaws the shark Bruce, because Jaws beats up the shark pretty convincingly.
And does his and he does his bite on the shark.
Yeah, it's honestly I actually quite enjoy all the shark sequences in this movie. They're filmed quite well. It doesn't look like a fake
I enjoy
shark.
the shark sequences, I enjoy all the Jaws sequences, and I enjoy Jaws beating up a shark.
Yeah, it's good. It is good. Apparently this is now the hour up because Bond got that full hour requested, but now it's time for Atlantis to be blown up.
I guess he spent a lot of time off screen just running around this place not finding Anya. He's like, where is she? She's not in this room. She's not in this room.
It took half an hour to get there on the jet ski.
It's like in a video game where you can't find the objective.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck is this thing that I'm looking for?
The battle music's not stopping though, so you know there's someone still alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we make it to the escape pod that's like...
And I believe we both have this written down as a sex bubble.
Yeah. I call it the sex submarine escape pod.
Yeah, it's like a weird like sex pod.
Yeah, it's you get in, you climb into it, and it's just all cushions and pillows everywhere, and like a mattress that's a circle.
Cushions, pillow. There's some bottles of wine with some glasses.
There's a Dom Perignon 52 up there, and there's there's some books, probably the Karma Sutra, and there's other booze as well. I saw a brandy bottle. Yeah, it's
and
it's
we have to remember that this was built for Stromberg's use.
Yes, it was built.
This wasn't for Bond.
Yeah. So maybe he had Naomi or something in the previous one that he fed to the sharks at the start of the movie.
I guess so. Yeah, he just doesn't strike me as like a sort of figure of sexual magnetism.
Maybe he doesn't shake hands, but he'll shake other things. You know.
I suppose so.
He's a big sex pervert, man.
Yeah, it's just like the ultimate Bond ending thing, right? Because he always ends up escaping and having sex with a woman, and so we're just combining those two completely. So the escape is a place to have sex with a woman.
The amount of times they've escaped in some sort of circular raft situation is a couple of times now. Happened to Sean Connery at least twice, I think, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Except one time he got picked up, and one time he just the M1 submarine popped up, you know, from beneath him. Remember that?
I do remember that.
But yeah, so Bond says, "Maybe I misjudged Stromberg. Any man who drinks Dom Perignon 52 can't be all bad."
But then we try our best to resolve this part of the movie. Yeah.
Amasova just raises a gun to shoot Bond, and then we get this comical pan zoom in on Bond's face, like, whoa, I thought we'd got past this. Whoa, we're still here. Like, it really does, like,
And
his
he
eyes
jumpscares
widen.
himself with the popped cork.
Yeah, because I think she shoots it. Does she not shoot the cork off?
I don't think so, because then there would be a bullet hole in the escape pod.
That's a good point. I got the impression she shot it, but I guess when the cork pops, it would be like that. But then she decides to smile at him, and then just...
No, he's like, oh, it's customary in my country to grant a condemned man his last request.
Yeah, but I think she kind of smiles when the cork pops as well. Like, she can, like, that's why I thought she shot, because it was like, oh, I was just kidding. I was going to just shoot the cork off the Dom Perignon.
It's just anything that made her, like, interesting or as a character who had motivations. It's like, nah, she's gonna have sex with James Bond.
Yeah, of course she is. Yeah. So the final request is to get out of their wet clothes. And she's a psychopath, just like James Bond. So they're a match made for each other.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just in it to use each other.
I guess this is against regulations, because she's like, oh, what if our superiors find out?
Yeah, you can have sex with a co-worker though in the USSR, because they were fine with. They were.
But sex with a foreign agent?
Yeah, no. Though if
unless, like, from Russia with Love, it's part of your job.
Yeah, in which case it's absolutely fine. Now, Bond and Amasova have been caught on the job because there's this big window in the sex escape pod, and they get brought on board some British cruiser. And M and the Russian
there,
M and Q and the British Minister of Defence is there. And M goes 007 in an exasperated way, and the Russian Comrade General goes XXX in the same kind of tone. The Minister of Defence goes, Bond, what are you doing?
Keeping up the British end, sir.
Then the curtain in the escape pod drops. Film over.
Film over. Bond will return in...
For your eyes only.
For your eyes only, yep.
Also not a particular memorable Bond name either.
Okay. Yeah, as much as I feel like the end kind of ruined... I'll say it, kind of ruins Anya's character and anything that was interesting happening there. I do think this is still a pretty solid Bond movie.
Yeah, So I was speaking to a friend of the show, Stuart, right, about this, and his words to describe this movie is he sees it as it's his favourite Roger Moore film, right? And he also sees it as Roger Moore's Goldfinger.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either, but I think it's because maybe this is where we're starting to kind of go off the edge, where my space with knowing these films kind of gets dottier and dottier. But, like, is this maybe because this is the last one that feels like a big set piece with a villain not connected to an organisation? We don't know.
Do we get back to organisations? I don't think so.
Maybe we don't. Maybe it's the only one that's got any scale, big action set pieces in it. Not that Goldfinger particularly was known. That was more of a You Only Live Twice thing.
Yeah. I don't know what friend of the show sure is getting at there, I'll be honest.
Yeah, listen, maybe see when we have a full retrospect in the Moore era, maybe we'll look at this and go, this really was the Goldfinger.
Maybe we'll understand it, it'll click.
Yeah, like...
I mean, yeah, I like this movie. I think I like Goldfinger slightly more.
Yeah, I like Goldfinger.
Not Goldfinger, I have Golden Gun.
The Man with the Golden Gun, yeah. I think I liked the Man with the Golden Gun more than this as well.
I think Christopher Lee is just a hard villain to beat.
Yeah. I do really like Anya Amasova in this, for most of it, and I like Jaws.
Definitely Jaws is a highlight, but I know that Jaws comes back.
Yes,
so.
I like the whole kind of Navy shtick in this as well. I think the model work's really good. Like, I like the submarines in the bay and launching them. Actually, see when they fire the torpedo to break out of the tanker, it looks like a starship going out of space dock in Star Trek.
Yeah, I think my main issue with it is just that the Anya stuff falls apart, and it's like it's not quite consistent throughout the movie.
Yes, it does definitely do that.
If they'd actually paid off all the stuff they'd set up with her dead lover and stuff, I think it would be a much more solid movie.
It's a bit the same with Pussy Galore, though, right?
A gag.
Remember with Pussy Galore? She hated Bond and all that, and she was working for Goldfinger, and then she just kind of falls to shit at the end.
Yeah, I know, but I wish we were over that by now, but I guess we're not.
No, we're never getting over that, Kyle, never.
Well, why don't you play us out then?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. But where can the people find Kyle online?
The people who can find Kyle at Kyle the Scott on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques. I'm still working on Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's going to take the rest of my life, but there we are.
It'll never be uploaded, but constantly refined on. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me online on social media hosting services such as Instagram and Blue Sky, Twitter, Threads, Mastodon. I also run the Name Note Included Enter the BondVerse Twitter account, where you can find us over there for more official postings and such. And you can also check out our entire back catalogue of this show for Enter the BondVerse, because we're fairly clipping through these films now. We've also done a full retrospect and Enter the Snyderverse for the DCEU Extended Universe. We've done all of that, plus Penguin. And we have also just had a general history of Two Dudes Talking podcasts. You don't need to listen to them. But they're there anyway if you just love hearing us to yap about not to any specific subjects. But
For some particular reason.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to us, and you can hear us again next week for Your Eyes Only.